Oh, why is it always my time that it happens? Right. Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to Ask the Accountant. You can see it's a very festive edition today. Me and Johann are wearing our festive gear. We've got a very fancy hat, and we'll talk to you all about where we got this hat from later in the show. And we brought out our festive Ask the Accountant. Festive they look. Now, how many times can I say festive in the intro? So, my name is Aaron Patrick, and a very warm welcome to the Ask the Accountants. I'm here with my co-host. Oh, first of all, this is episode number 60. The date is the 11th of December, 2023. Only a couple more. Is it one more live show till Christmas? I think that is, and we'll talk to you more about what we're doing after that.
Yeah, one more.
New Year. Yeah, it's scary, isn't it, really, when you think about it? My name is Aaron Patrick. And with me is my co-host, as always, Johann. Johann, how has your week been? I've heard it's been a busy one.
Good morning. Yeah, busy week. Loads, bit of traveling, loads on. So a bit of traveling. Went down to London. We'll talk about that later. Came back. Loads and loads of new inquiry calls, which was great. Supporting the team, just keeping busy as always. And then I spent my weekend doing a bit more DIY to the home office. So now when I shout at my assistant, the lights turn on and off for me, although I did get an electrocution doing it. So DIY to a certain level I can do, but electrics starts to get dangerous. And yeah, it certainly put a bit of spark back in my life.
Do you want to clarify it's a digital assistant and you're not abusing
it is, yes.
staff members?
Yeah, so when I shout to my friend from Amazon, it turns my lights on and off now.
It's not when you shout at Jade or anyone from your work. It's not.
No.
Turn my lights on now.
Turn them on from Reading. Get in your car and drive. But yeah, so yeah, no, busy week, but productive as always. How about yours?
Yeah, same. I mean, we had a trip down to London, didn't we? So
it was a good
always
trip.
Busy when we have to head to the big smoke. But no, after that though, it's very, very similar. It's been just work. There's a lot to get through to try and make sure that we can enjoy Christmas. We don't want to be sat there stressed about it, right? We don't want to have stuff that's not been done that we promised to get done on time. So yeah, we just got our head down getting that done. We even had a team get together on the Friday where because we work remotely, we had a kind of hands-on, face-to-face tackle some of those problems we've got. So that's always good. Client engager came up a few times in terms of how do we do this, how do we do that, so that was good to see. And yeah, it was
I hope they're not problems.
There's always going to be issues and problems for us to figure it out, isn't there? So that's what it's all about, right? Like, you know, you're always going to find a particular client, a particular issue we've had, and how do we tackle that? And yeah, exactly. And or there's a particular way that we're trying to push the system to do X when really it was designed to do Y. So really we've got to figure out what's the best way to do it around. It's all those sort of situations. So it's all good. Right. I think we've got a big topic coming up today. But first of all, let's go talk to the most important members of Ask the Accountant, which is yourself and the community. We've got Louise in this morning. Good morning, Louise. Hope you are doing well. We've got Dan in as well. Morning, gents. Glad to see the hat survived. They certainly did. Yep. We'll talk about that in a moment. Natasha, hopefully your book's doing well, Natasha. That's going well for you. Cheryl says, good morning, and good morning to you too, Cheryl. And the old LinkedIn user, one of a kind, loving the hats. Yep, we'll talk about that in a moment. And Victoria's here as well. Now, these are the people who have got in early, and there'll be more joining very, very soon. I can guarantee. But if you want to join in live with us, then please do come along to us 8:30 a.m. every single Monday morning. Potentially Christmas Day. We won't be live, but potentially something will be there.
It will be a Christmas special.
We'll push it back to Boxing Day, we think. But then, you know, we're there each and every morning. We're going to be here. But if you can't see us, join us live, don't worry. We're on every single podcast choice you can think of as well on a Wednesday. Right then, Johann. So let's talk about this week. So we had a little trip to London, and it wasn't just a jolly like everyone said it would have been. Oh, no. Some serious work needed to be done. We started the day off with... But I mean, you can pull that face as much as you want. I mean, for the non-visual viewers, Johann pulled a little bit of a face on this. I'd admit it wasn't as productive as other sections of going down to London as I've ever been, but still productive. We started the day with a nice little podcast in QuickBooks themselves. So we were there in QuickBooks HQ delivering QuickBooks Labs. A bit of a Actually, wasn't it? That was the first time we've ever had to do a live one in QB itself. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was really good. It was. I don't. I was worried we were going to get the door kicked in and security guards with tasers were going to take us out and we were never going to be seen again if we had a bad word to say. But no, they left us. They said they were very clear with us. Be open and honest, like you always have been. We're just providing a venue.
I mean, it was a bit weird having those two lasers pointed at us. I didn't know what those lasers were for. Those little dots that kept appearing.
Yeah, like so. Johann said something bad. The laser's back on his head. So, but yeah, no, it was really, really good. Yeah, it was just nice to do it in person. We certainly enjoyed that more, didn't we? Doing that in person. We enjoy doing these things in person more than we do. Like we enjoy our weekly catch-ups and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but there's a certain level of just being able to bounce off each other and organicness that comes from being in the same room as each other. So that's good.
Yeah, 100%. So we really enjoyed doing that. And then the next day, well, beforehand, we had a little catch up with the accounting council members, didn't we? There was a pre-arranged party. We weren't involved in arranging it, so we were happy to kind of pop along, and it was nice to see the other members. And we had a nice little meal at the Ivy, didn't we? So big shout out to Andy for that one. That was absolutely glorious. And then we had a nice little sleep. Woke up, counting council day, a very Christmassy filled counting council day, which is hence the hats. These were provided to us to fest it up, and I think it was a different accounting council, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly.
Badges with snowflakes and stuff on it. And
yeah. We got presents. I'm not opened mine yet, but
and if you can see that, there's holly on the lanyards. It's very.
Yeah, we've got presents that I've still yet to open because I want to save it for Christmas Day.
I've opened mine and destroyed it. I even went online to see if I can buy more.
I mean, no spoiler alert then for what's in there. But yeah, we've got Christmas to put under the tree, so I'm looking forward to putting that there. And we tackled. Beforehand, it was a little bit of a different one. There were special guests involved, weren't they?
We had visitors.
Yeah, we were, as you kept saying throughout the day, very, very poignant. We felt like we were on trial almost. It's like we were public viewing. Like, we being held accountable to being accounting council members, which was cool. And we also got to be involved in a bit more of QuickBooks or Intuit's like normal working. So they had their all hands meeting there, and we were at the back of the all hands meeting, and we got to listen and stuff like that. So really, really, really impactful. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the bits we're allowed to, because obviously NDA and everything else in a moment. But of the event itself, what did you think to it? Because we had a nice party at the end as well. There was like a Christmas party. That was a really cool, and I've never seen it before, but a really cool concept for the party itself. It was almost, the concept was wine vending machines basically dotted all around the venue, and it was a case of you use your little magic card thing, tap it, and then you're able to dispense wine if you wanted to. We never got around to that bit, did we? We were still drinking the free beers that was left at the back of the room.
We were being the heroes and not wasting those beers that had been chilled in ice.
Yeah. We didn't want them to go to waste, so we were making sure they were being drunk. But no, it's a great concept for
I think it just shows how cool technology has made these things now. So the fact that you can go into a bar, go up to one of these multiple stands, choose which wine you want to dispense into your cup, and tap on the machine and pay for it, and the wine dispenses into your cups. You know what? No one was up moaning about the queues at the bar, were they? Or how slow the bar staff were. Problem solved. I loved it.
No, yeah, very much so. It was brilliant, wasn't it? Just to have that, and it was well attended as well. I feel like there was a lot of us and a lot of the QuickBooks staff came to say hello to us, right? And we got an opportunity to talk to some of them that maybe we've never really had a chance to talk to before. So, yeah, great event all round. So, what did you think to the county council this time around, though? Did you? How was your notepad at the end? Was it full and of great ideas ready to take back, or?
It was certainly full.
Yeah.
Not as much about ideas as it was about communique and informing the team of what to expect and why things are happening. So yeah, no, it was good. kind of got an update, didn't we, on basically everything we'd been told for the last year and where things were. Actions are being taken. Feedback's definitely being taken on board. I think we can't talk about it really, but there was definitely a moment where we all had an epiphany, and
100%.
all of a sudden, it all something made sense, and hopefully that change can be pushed through, and America get on board with it and allow it. But all of us, it was just a bit of an epiphany moment that most of us had in that room at the same time from both QuickBooks and the council, which was fantastic. That's really the reason we go to these things, is that, you know, QuickBooks have this plan, and that's great, and it's normally informed and constructed by the US, and then you're sat having an organic conversation about it, and just out of the blue, this completely random idea comes up and gets discussed, and it's like, and then within minutes, everyone's like, "That's genius! Why have we not done this already? Like, it's so obvious." So yeah, no, it was really good. We'll come on to reporting in a bit, but we got a bit of a background as to why everything's changing, and I'm completely behind it. I'm supporting the reason completely. Execution, yeah, all right, it's never going to be perfect. Communication about that change, if they told everyone what they told us in that meeting, and I believe that can be discussed today.
Yeah, there's no NDA on that.
Then I think a lot less people, I think we're still going to have the battalion of whingers that, "Oh, I don't like change. Why are we changing for the sake of change? It's fine how it is." It's like, well, actually, what you don't realize is it's not. Like, it is not fine, and there are problems. And these changes will get rid of those problems and enhance it further. So we'll go into reports in a bit more detail in a moment. But yeah, overall, nice day. Always good to catch up with the council members and say hello and just check in with each other. Like that, as much as we are there to hold a QuickBooks to account and to deliver feedback and to help better make sure that the features that we're looking at now, which we'll be rolling out in the next 2 to 3 years, are then better delivered in the long run before they've even gone public, is great. That network of accountants and bookkeepers that are part of the core council, that who's 20 odd members of us, are starting to form a very close working relationship where we are talking about each of us headaches and problems and solving each of us headaches and problems. And I'm absolutely loving that. And I think that's the biggest value for the whole day.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think, like, that whole idea about you saying we're creating a network, and we are able to sit there and make sure that we keep QuickBooks accountable, but we're almost getting that from our peers as well now, which is great. Like, I remember last accounting council just having these murmurings about, "Oh, I'm looking to do an acquisition, etc., and putting a few details. And near enough, every one of the accounting members came up to me, like, "So how's that acquisition going? You know, what's going on there?" And we were able to have that conversation about going there. So, you know, it really does. If anything, it means that by next time, best to have some more news to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a fool, right? Like, that's the point of it. Yeah, that's where it comes in, and I like that, and I think that's it. And we were able to do the same with some of the others who were like, "Oh, I'm looking to move to this software," and then we were able to say, "Look, so how'd that move go? You know, what how's that gone?" And it's those sort of conversations which really, I think, is going to enhance our, you know, practices as well. So yeah, overall, we get so much out of it, which is great to see. Just make sure we're keeping up with the chat. Morning to Paul as well, says nice hats. Yeah, absolutely loving him. I think green am I right in thinking that I made this up? Santa was originally green, but then Coca-Cola came on and made him red. So if anything, we're being traditional. That's right.
We are the proper traditional green hat. Yeah,
we're not taken over by this corporate BS. We are true to our colours.
Do we think QuickBooks is powerful enough to turn Santa green again?
Oh, now that would be it. Oh, let's hope so. I mean, imagine Zero having to put on a Santa hat every time. That'd be great. Paul says, good morning to you too, Paul. Kirsty says, and this is an interesting one, did you know that YouTube goes live as sooner than LinkedIn? Doesn't surprise me with LinkedIn, if I'm completely honest. There's a few few aging elements to it, I think, there. But no, that's a very interesting fact. And I'm loving the LinkedIn profile photo there. So if anyone's listening back on a podcast and not live on the video, you'll see Kirsty with a Santa hat on. That's a great little touch. That we're loving that. Paul says, question for the morning: Do you give presents to your clients? Unfortunately, I don't, Paul. Probably should consider maybe to a couple, but no, I wouldn't. I don't want to go through, especially with ISAW. There'll be a whole raft of forms I'd have to fill out just to even contend with that. So yeah,
There's also the underlying part of that's a cost.
Yeah,
and that cost is going to transpire into higher fees ultimately.
True. True.
You can have a Christmas present from us, but we're going to need to put your fees up by X amount.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want?
Exactly.
I know my clients will go, yeah, lower fees rather than a Christmas present that's got no real resemblance or bearing on me and will never be seen or used after the day.
Yeah, there is that, isn't there? I mean, I have always wanted to try and figure out how I could get maybe some of my smaller clients to be able to like get presents from them. I've done that to the team members before. So potentially maybe that would be good to see, but it's difficult though, isn't it?
Also, there's this whole world of headaches.
Yeah.
Like, where do you buy it from? Is that a PR nightmare? Do you buy alcohol? Well, some people are sober. Do you buy a hamper? Well, then you've got vegan and dietaries, and so just no. Just no. It's not worth the stress and the headache for anybody involved.
And I'm not sure if you sent them some swag, so Christmas hats with the Boffice logo on.
Yeah, it's just going to go in the bin. Like, that's just wasteful to the like. We were just saying earlier this year how good the conferences are getting at ecological swag. So yeah, it's no presents.
Yeah, call us bar humbug, but yeah, that's our stance on it. Paul said, seen a few extra beta items appear this past week. Some client accounts, VAT reminders was one I was expecting to start to see. The new budgets, the new budgets menu is amazing. Anyone not seeing the new budgets menu, do go and have a look at that. And VAT reminders is difficult for us to really quantify because it's not on our side. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be useful, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Sue Green says, good morning, and good morning to you, Sue. Right, let's go to our first major topic of the day, which is all about an update to QuickBooks. Now, normally we cover all of our QuickBooks updates on QuickBooks Labs because that's what it's designed for. But it was an hour and 20 minutes into the last episode of QuickBooks Labs. We had to call it. There was people at the door telling us it was time to shut up shop and go home. So yeah,
because they wanted to go home, not because we'd said or done anything wrong.
Exactly, for once. So it was a case then where we had to go through and make sure that we covered just certain topics. And this particular topic we didn't cover. And it's very simple. Basically, you'll see if you go into QuickBooks at the moment, go to the reporting area, you'll probably see a little message saying that by the 14th of December, some of your reports will not be able to go back to what they're calling the classic view. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, the classic view is the view that we've had since day dot of QuickBooks being live, QuickBooks Online, should I say, being live, and they are now transitioning to what's called the mobile view.
Modern view.
Sorry, when I got mobile, yeah, that's right, modern view, not mobile view. Although it does still work on mobile, but yeah, it's definitely the modern view. So this obviously has caused a few questions being put into the community. Let me put it that way, if I want to be politically correct. There's been a bit of a talking points being generated over this one. Now, before we go into what we know, let's take that off the shelf and let's talk about if we didn't know that, how would we feel at this point in time?
Well, I think we've got a case in point here, right? A couple of months ago in QuickBooks Labs, you asked me what are your thoughts on the modern report view. I said, I don't see the point.
Yep.
I don't see the value add. And for that reason, I wasn't particularly for or against it. It didn't really bother me. But now I know the point. Now I know what the value add's going to be, completely behind it.
Agreed. But before you knew that point, when you saw the fact that it was 14th of December, you were being forced over to that report.
See, I didn't know that until I'd already been told that at the Accounting Council.
Oh, okay. So, because that's been around for, I think they gave 30 days notice, didn't they? So 14th of November, that came live.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it or heard of it.
That's fair enough.
So up until this point, I've just gone, I don't really I don't understand why it felt like a change for the sake of change, which is Xero's job, not QuickBooks's.
Yeah.
Like, they just changed the font for the sake of changing the font.
But make a big deal out of it.
But they do make a huge deal out of it. There's a whole Xerocon based on font changes. But I didn't really see the value add. But now I know it's great. And I think that's probably the learning for QuickBooks from this, of they could have communicated what they told us and why everything they told us, which we're going to do today. But they could have done that months ago without any damage to anything. Like, it wouldn't have tarnished anything. It wouldn't have damaged anything by them saying, look, this is coming and this is why. They could have been completely public with it, and they weren't.
Agreed. I mean, full transparency, I knew about this change end of November, beginning or middle of November, and the reason for it, because I was invited down to London for the TWN, so Training Writing Network, and we talked about it there, and we had pretty much the same presentation to us at that point. But we were strictly told this is not to leave the office and everything else. So I have actually got a video already done on this subject, and the video is ready to go, but I don't know when I wasn't aware of when I was allowed to post it at that point. I am now. Well, unfortunately, though, they've missed the boat because I've got other things I need to talk about. So, well, you know what I mean? Like, there's other things that come priority. But the point is that you're right. It's a communication in terms of what QuickBooks need to say, but they can only do so much and tell the story to a certain point. What they really needed to do, and they've done it to a point by telling the accounting council, but there needs to be a wider community, right? And then that accounting council and the people who get told need to then go tell. And we weren't told at that meeting, please go away and tell this to the world. It was almost like, we've told you, do what you want with that information. Where really, if they're given some assets for us to post or something to enable us to help deliver that message, I think that would have been a cleaner way. But ultimately, we're kind of thinking about, but we know why the change is made, and actually, we support the change. As painful it's going to be for us to move to this new platform, and we'll have issues and everything else, we now know the reason, and we are in full support of it. And if anything, we're looking for them to accelerate it if they can, because we know what the benefits are going to be, right? But we need to figure out a better way to communicate this, because you've had it as well, haven't you? You've had it this week where you've spotted people talking on forums about their disgust for it, etc., 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 and you've been able to jump in and try and calm the storm. Yes, you know, that is part of your role as being an accounting council, but it shouldn't be down to that, right? That shouldn't be the way that they find out.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair to QuickBooks, there's only so much they can do when their users keep unsubscribing from marketing emails. Like, the amount of people that were, oh my God, there's a price change, they're upping the prices. Like, yeah, the email came out a month ago. I didn't get that email. Then they realize, oh, it's because I've told all QuickBooks emails to go to junk. It was in there. Or they've gone, oh, no, I think I've unsubscribed from that. Well, what do you expect? Yeah, so QuickBooks can only do so much, and that's where the rest of the community does need to step in and help. Could they have done more in this one? Definitely. Could they have been communicating the reasons behind it beforehand? I don't see. Like, it's not going to have given their competitors any edge or advantage by knowing this information. So I don't see why they couldn't. So yeah, we're going to have to accept, with any change, there's going to be some features that are dropped. And these features are not dropped for the sake of dropping features, or they just didn't see that and forgot about it. They're dropped because of a lack of use. So like Paul said in the comments, his main concern about the new reports is there's no notes section. Well, technically there is in the new reports. It's in the new management reports. You can generate reports and put notes, and, you know, I mean, potentially powered by AI in the future when Intuit Assist comes to the UK. Potentially. But it technically is there. But when QuickBooks have analyzed like all their heat maps and stuff, they've seen absolute tiny percentage of people are using notes on each report. So for that reason, they've gone, well, yeah, we're not building it because no one's really using it. And then we're always going to find an edge case where, whether it's Paul with his notes or whatever it is, there's going to be an edge case where someone was using that note or that filter, but no one else was.
Yeah. I think
So,
sometimes that is very valid. I think sometimes it's very much a let's use the edge case and go through from there. But then you'll have times where the reason that the edge case hasn't, or the thing, and I think notes is an okay example there, because I think a lot of people just didn't know it was there, right? And it was a lack of education from our part as the trainers to really push that through and really show that. You know, for me, a great example would have been the fact that we had the style of invoicing. We had that option where we could create our own styles of invoicing. Not many people used it, so it was in QuickBooks Labs, their beta program, and then it was dropped and never taken to full. And the reasons for it being dropped is they have actually got a bigger and a grander version of that coming at some point. It's just what we're on 2-3 years down the line now, and it's not appeared. Now, the reason though that it wasn't being used is because no one really knew about it or knew the use case for it. And actually, it was fundamental in providing partial exemption or global accounting scheme, to do that VAT. And as people who was using it and were relying on it to deliver that service, that being taken away with us was actually a huge deal and a big problem. So I do get the fact that, you know, the mapping and everything else is going to be a problem, but I feel like sometimes just basing it on mapping is where that can go wrong, right? And I think that's where, like, client engager, for example, you would never just take something away just because no one's using it. You would then ask the community. We had that in the last live stream, right? You were adamant that, not adamant, but your first opinion was, oh, we can now get rid of this because we've replaced it with something better. And as soon as the community came along, whoa, no, we need that. That's something we're using all the time.
Yeah.
You weren't using it, so your heat map didn't show it coming up. But actually, when you go to the community, it's like, actually, there's enough of a vocal minority, community here saying we need it, so let's keep it. I think sometimes that did come in, and I feel like with this move to the new reports, they've done loads of analytics on those heat maps and everything else. And yes, I believe that, because I've got a list of 5 features that haven't made it to the new reporting, and I feel like if they've just asked people, not all 5 need to be there. I completely agree. And it's just educating people that those 5 aren't coming going forward. But I think there's enough there to say, actually, this one's quite important. So for me, one of the features aren't coming through is now going to completely change the way. That's not a thumbs up, by the way. For me, one of the changes I'm going to go is completely change the way that I use QuickBooks. And in fact, I've now got to go and find another solution to provide that functionality for me, because I was constantly using the feature. And it's things like that where I don't think I'm alone in this. I think a lot of people, in fact, it was a question in the exam for core certification, is part and parcel of this, and they're not bringing that feature to the new reports. So it's bits like that where, yeah, from a heat map point of view, maybe it wasn't used, but it was really useful, and it actually enhanced QuickBooks to quite a big point. I just feel like we're missing that now going forward. So it's a shame, but yeah, that's what it is. And I'm having to talk around a little bit about this because I don't know what's NDA and what's not yet in terms of being able to say what's coming through. So.
I think what we can say is why the change is there.
Yep, definitely can. Yeah.
So the current reports have been built, as you said earlier, on the same bit of coding since day one. Like the same tool has been powering these reports. And what QuickBooks are seeing now is that the more and more data, and the bigger clients with the bigger data files are seeing more and more failings in report generation. Like, we're still talking like 0.0 something percent. Like, it's still tiny fractions, but that's what they're seeing, is an increasing trend in failures of report generation because of the volume of data. But they've also reached the limit of what they can do with this tool.
Yeah.
Like, it cannot, we're all sat there going, we want KPIs, we want graphs, we want all of this information, we want it completely customizable, we want to build our own KPIs, we want to build our own graphs, and we want all of that on the dashboard. Like, I've been saying I'd love all this information on the dashboard for years now, and they're like, well, with the tool we have, we can't do that.
Yeah, and it's important to note the reason you can't do that is because every one of those data points and those graphs and all those were built on a different system, so they weren't the same underlying platform. They're their own unique one. So the dashboard was all built on its own architecture. The performance center, which is actually quite useful feature, is because it's on its own architecture. Time that they had that, or every time they put in new data sources into QuickBooks that were related to reporting, it was always on its own separate one. So exactly what you're saying there, and carry on where you're going. But the important bit is the fact that everything was built on a different system. So if you wanted to make a change or you wanted to update something, then you have to pass from pillar to post to be able to get that been done. Whereas now the idea is it's all driven from the same data set.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where Modern View has come from, is that is a whole new tool that will be phased in over the next year and replacing all reports. Now, what they have said is reporting functionality will be like for like. Now, whether that includes the notes or any of the edge cases that Aaron's found where the things seem to be missing, I don't know, but the data you get out of the report and the comparisons, etc., will be matching or better in the new review, in the new report format. But then what they showed us, which I do believe is under NDA, of where they're going with this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all I'll say is think Futurely, think SIF Analytics, think Fathom, those kind of reporting tools. Some of that functionality could be coming to QuickBooks. And for a lot of smaller firms, you might not need to spend money on additional reporting tools. This could save you some money quite considerably, or provide a tool free of charge, which could mean you're able to deliver a service that you can't currently justify the cost of the tools you require for. So from that point of view, I think it's phenomenally amazing what this can do. What I saw them show to me last week was, brilliant. Like, for us, we're still going to need SIF Analytics
for certain
and
clients.
Bloat for certain clients.
Yeah.
And for certain tools as well, like the data analytics in SIF Analytics is far superior. So it's like Dex Precision, basically. Like, we don't have that in QuickBooks to the level we need at the moment. But what they are going to do is probably take a chunk out of what I would class basic functionality out of these big, expensive reporting tools and deliver it free of charge.
And for me, the benefit of that is like for our, premium clients, or at least clients who see the value in that, happy to pay the extra charges, happy to have that, and because they get value in it, right? And they come to a point where they can't function without that sort of extra insights they're getting from it. And that's brilliant. And I think you're right. And QuickBooks have already said they're not looking to build anything that's going to compete and like better any of these, because that's all they do. So obviously they're going to have opportunities to be best in class in those situations. But what I believe this is going to do more than anything is just open it up to, and that critical analytics, that critical data is now going to be opened up to far more clients in your client portfolio. And that's better for everyone, because that means that those clients are going to be able to make better decisions, or they're going to be held more accountable to what they're doing, and have that opportunity to have those meaningful conversations. We've been saying a long time, we keep using the buzzword, let's become more business advisory, and sometimes a bit wishy-washy, right? And sometimes that's because we're held back by the tools that we've got. I thoroughly believe these are the sort of tools we need to become true business advisors, because we're going to be able to
way as well.
Exactly. And if that helps, one client become better, or saves one client from going bust, then it's it's an investment well worth it in my eyes. And I believe it's going to do far more good than anything else. I think that's what this comes into, right? That is that end goal that's exciting for us.
Yeah. And a lot of the people that are whinging about classic view versus modern view probably aren't actually interested in all these new gimmicks and features that are coming, because that's not what they do. They're annual accountants or bookkeepers, and they just process the data. It's like, that's fine, But that kind of bookkeeping and accounting is going to struggle in the future.
Yeah.
Because it's not even compliance, it's minimum.
Yeah.
Like, compliance is never going to go away, and it's never going to be dead. It's going to be the core of any good accounting and bookkeeping firm. But this makes these reports are going to make compliance even more accurate and more live data.
Exactly.
Now, yeah, the people that are complaining probably won't see the value that you and I sat there and went, oh my God, that's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
So they'll continue complaining, and that's fine, because that's the culture I expect out of our industry, unfortunately. But I know the thousands of us that go to all these conferences and look at all the latest tech are going to be very impressed and very happy with what's about to get launched.
100%. And we've already said it. We just can't wait for it to happen, right? We got shown the future, and we're like, right, okay, bring that to me now.
Yes.
So, yeah. And if we're that excited for it, trust us. Like, there's a reason we're excited. They showed us other stuff that, okay, nice. You know, it's going in a nice direction. Oh, that's going to be good. But it takes a lot for us to be this excited about a particular feature, a particular solution. So just trust us in the fact that this is something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something here, which I don't think it's going to lose us any listeners, because I don't think this is the type of listener we get. But like, QuickBooks have been going out getting a lot of feedback on this.
Yeah.
And the people that are against it, and the people that I see moaning about this stuff, have probably got 5 years left in their career, maybe 10, before they retire. But the people that are loving this and are behind it are the next generation that are coming into firms and starting up firms at the moment. They're completely behind this, and they love it. Which one should we, or should the software vendor, be listening to? Should we be building tools for someone that's going to leave the industry in 5 to 10 years because they've retired, and maybe they're working on older ways of working and practicing? Or should we be building the tool for the future, for the next generation to come through and have the equipment they need to deliver the service that small businesses of the future want and need?
Exactly.
And that's what I keep feeding back to QuickBooks is the gobby ones, the whingy ones, the loud ones. Don't worry too much about them, because they won't be in the industry much longer. They're going to retire. They're going to move on. Build for the people that are coming in. And the people that are coming in are loving the tools that are coming out.
Yeah, 100%. Because, you know, we keep saying this, but we're looking at the future with AI and everything else. And if this tool means that AI can somehow be involved in any way, that's got to be, we've got to like accept it. We've got to go for that change, right?
Yeah, like QuickBooks have been very clear that the current reporting tool has reached its limits.
Yeah.
To the point that AI, it can't work with AI.
Or
so they need
no point in building it because it will just break, right? Like,
they need to have the tool that's going to be available for the future tool, which is AI. So made complete sense to me.
Love it. Now, the next topic I have on this is, it's all well and good us accountants being told to go out there and shout about this, and that's what we're doing. And we will then put posts together, and we'll put videos together and all that sort of stuff. But at what point should we think about is we've gone too far? When's that? Who's keeping us accountable to that? Because I'm not going to say who or what or anything else, but there's been some scenarios this week that I've seen where posts have gone up talking about these great features for this great piece of software, and I know full well that that's not really the truth, in terms of what was being shouted about was not 100% accurate, in my opinion. That's only my opinion.
That's the problem, though. It's your opinion.
Exactly. But the other one is that I know full well that they don't really use that software to that degree. It's just nice, it's just there's an agreement somewhere, either financially or there's a nice post, or whatever the reason's going to be, there's going to be from there. We have this in every industry. The tech industry is huge for it, right? So if you watch any tech YouTubers now, there's a very much case. And I feel like in the accounting industry, we're still in our infancy in how that works. How and why and what are we to do to actually make sure that we're still credible. And I think that's going to be really tricky going forward, isn't it? I think 2024 is going to be a huge year for that. And I don't know the answers, but I feel like as a community, we need to figure out like, what is our stance on this going forward?
Yeah. So look, I think part of the problem is it's our opinions, right?
Agreed.
So I think I know roughly what post you're referring to recently, and there's been a couple, but I sit there and say QuickBooks support, for example, is the best support I get from any FMS system. Like maybe challenged by Free Agent.
Yeah.
But Xero's is shocking. Yeah, other people are saying, no, QuickBooks is crap for support. Xero is incredible. It's your personal opinion based on your personal experiences. So I don't think we can criticize someone for saying that this software support is incredible, because that's their experience. Whether they are using that tool properly, or if they're sponsored and they're not declaring that, or whatever it is, that comes down to character, ethics, morals, and credibility. And those types of people won't last long in this industry. People will find out. We all talk. We know, like, there's a community aspect to this. And as soon as it gets out that someone is promoting a software they don't even use themselves, or they are telling people stuff when they're being paid to do it and they're not declaring that, as soon as that's out, that will tarnish that person's credibility. So yes, that person will do okay for 6 months to a year, but then they're done. Like no one will touch them because they know the community. So, you know, like, I only promote and talk about anything that I'm using in my firm. I've been approached by others, but unless I use that product in my firm, I will not talk about it, because that's credibility in my view.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I shout about things that I like based on my own experience and knowledge. So like I did a video on working papers for QuickBooks this weekend. Not sponsored by QuickBooks. I was very clear in that it's not sponsored in the video. And I'm very, you know, you and I are very clear about when we are and aren't sponsored, because we think that's the right thing to do, because we respect our audience too much to lie to them. Now, you know, I then sit on LinkedIn shouting about various softwares that I really like and destroying other ones that I don't. But I'm not, like, the bad post I did that got 50,000 views in the space of a week.
Yeah.
Wasn't based on hearsay or anything. It was based on my personal experience. It wasn't because someone paid me to do it. It was based on my personal experience and my own annoyance. And, like, you know, I promote client engagement because I've got a personal interest in that as a co-founder, but also as a user. I promote QuickBooks because I think it is the right tool for me and my clients and my team. And I want other people to get the same benefits. But yeah, overall, if people are in our industry promoting softwares where they are not using the softwares like they say they are, and they're telling people that, you know, this is great, you should use it, and they're not declaring a vested interest in the form of payments or any other mutual agreements, then I don't think they'll last long, because we have a community within our industry, and that community is what they're relying on. You know, like, those people will not get speaking opportunities in the future. They will not get opportunities to go on podcasts. They will lose followers and interest on social media platforms. It's just a case of potentially, or the risk for them is someone's going to name them and shame them, and then it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah, so I agree somewhat to that. My only slight caveat to that is, I think at the end of the day, people are running businesses, right? So if they've got any form of opportunity to get income, as long as they're declaring it, as long as if they get any form of
I've got no
opportunity.
issue with them being sponsored.
Yeah,
like, we want to be sponsored.
Yeah,
but
I think just on that point though, so there's always going to be a point where they, you know, they need to monetize their work, right? And that's absolutely fine. We fully support that. And if we were talking to a client, we'd be telling them, why are you not taking every opportunity you've got to monetize this platform and everything else? So that bit I completely understand. My problem, I think I have, or not problem, but my bit that we need to figure out is how do we weed this out so that us, we're not being paid to do this, but us wanting to promote the fact that reports going forward, trust us, bro, because this is going to be amazing. This is going to be game
We've
changing.
seen it.
Yeah, we've seen it, and we need to tell you that this is going to be fine, and we need to get the message out there to as many people. That will get only so much traction because we're competing against all these others that are happening, and that's where I feel like we, as a community, we need to figure out how best to do that, because anyone can promote anything because they've had a good relationship with them or a good deal with them or whatever it's going to be. That's fine, absolutely 100%. But then when there's critical news or critical features or something that the wider community needs to know about, we're starting to become in such a competing place now that the right messages aren't going to get out there. That's where I'm a little bit concerned about how, as a community, we figure that out, because the more people, because we're encouraging all the time, get yourself out there on LinkedIn, get yourself out there on YouTube, promote, push, because it's great for everyone. It's great for personal growth, personal brand development, everything else. But on the counter to that, we're now diluting our own messages. And sometimes one of those messages could be really, really important. And I feel like that's something that we've got to go into 2024. I feel like we've got to figure out the best way for.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. But I don't think there's one answer out there. I think it's going to be, people are going to soon suss out, like, if someone's promoting a software and that as soon as, all it takes is a staff member going, oh yeah, they talk about it all the time, but we don't even use it in our firm. Like, that damages your credibility to the point of, well, hang on, what else can I trust that you're saying? So yeah, they're raving on about this new feature. We've not actually rolled it out in our own firm yet, and it's like, right, hang on a minute. Like, people are gonna, our audience and our industry are not idiots. Like, they will work it out, they will listen, and it will spread. And great, that person might have had a great 6 months out of it, but it won't last.
Agreed. Right, moving on. Next topic. This is more of a public service announcement to all accountants out there. There's been a certain topic that's been going in national press and has been brought up time and time again. And just for a little bit of context behind the scenes, we here at Ask the Accountant, we have a little notepad, and every time a piece of news comes up, we stick it in that notepad and we discuss it. Do we talk about it at the end on the show? And this particular topic keeps coming time and time again. And I think we briefly mentioned it way back when it first came out, but we particularly decided, and rightly so, that we're not going to cover it in too much detail. So, I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to do this all again that we've done. And maybe the topic of this, or the title of this, should be that I'm, talking around a topic instead of about a topic, right? So, going to be a bit cryptic here because I don't want to name and shame anyone or anything daft like that. That's not what the point of this is. But there has been an accounting firm that's been going through the national press at the moment because they are being accused of doing X, Y, and Z. And we're not here to say if that's right or wrong. As accountants, we'd like to think that we'd like to support one another, and hopefully whatever's been said in the press is, just being pushed away and everything else, and people are overreacting or whatever it's going to be, and it's just more of the press are starting to get their claws in, is what we fear is happening here. So hopefully that's the case. But the problem you have is that because they're now in the limelight, things are starting to be looked at on their public knowledge and public reports. And if you're an accountant, and any accountant out there, what's happened to this particular accountant could happen to anyone, right? This could be one disgruntled client just gone to the press and they've ran with it, right? And it could be right, could be wrong. We all know that the press can make a mountain out of a molehill sort of scenario, right? So we could do anything. So we've got to remember that our accounts we set out there, our anything we post on Companies House can get scrutinized by other accountants, and more importantly, can be scrutinized by anyone. So I do feel that if one learning we can take from this is anything else, is please make sure that your accounts that you're submitting to Companies House and everything else are watertight and there's no glaring errors in there. Because if you're making glaring errors in your own accounts, then the credibility and everything else you've built up can soon be washed away. And in this particular account, it's been brought to everyone's attention that they've got motor vehicles in their account on their fixed asset register of negative 30 odd thousand. Like, straight away, we all know you can't have a negative fixed asset. That ain't happening. And there's other glaring errors as well. We're not going to go into the other ones, but if you look at the accounts, and I've got them in front of me, your accountant instance straight away go, that doesn't seem right. Oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
Negative.
If they've messed that up on their accounts, then actually, does that give the credibility to the news articles that we're seeing?
That's the problem, right? Like, as accountants, we want to hope and we want to pray that this is an issue that's we feel sorry for the accountants and you'll bring it up as well, their staff as well. Like, we feel sorry for that firm. Like, that firm is going through time that we wouldn't wish on anyone, right? But then if they're putting accounts out to that poor standards, their own accounts to that poor standards, and not doing the basics right, then it's really difficult for us to then continue to offer that support for them and push it through. And especially when these people are, the people involved are, they've got a big following on LinkedIn. They push through from there. Now, my argument about that is, it appears their following on LinkedIn isn't really accountant focused, so they've obviously gone some other way. Fine, that's great, good for them. But they're walking around Accountex and by themselves. Like, if you've got a big following, you'd expect them to have people coming up to them, saying hello to them and everything else. Now, maybe it's tarnished by everything that's happened in the news. Maybe that's the issue. But it does feel like if you've got this big following, you have to have this sort of, you're being put on a pedestal, right? And people look up to you to do X, Y, Z. At least get your public accounts right. Like, that's got to be a bare minimum. Take your time. Just and more than likely, what's happened here is it's the last minute, because, and I'm to blame for this as well. My set of accounts always go in last second. It's always the last thing on my mind. My tax return I'll always put in at the very last second, because I always say I do my tax return after I've done everyone else's. So there could easily be a timing issue here where they ran out of time or whatever, and mistakes have happened. But you can't give yourself. You have to make sure that that's not the issue, right? You have to make sure going forward that you don't have that, especially when this particular one have set up a whole new accounting firm now. So it's like, well, if those mistakes were happening in the old one, and this is just the submitting of accounts, of their own accounts, then is that going to happen in the new one? So yeah, public service announcement, please, 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 for your own sanity, like, give yourself a bit of time, make sure that you go through those accounts with a fine toothpick, because they're going to be the ones that could one day be scrutinized, and you don't want to be in the position that this accounting firm find yourself in.
Yeah, I mean, look, no one knows. I always say during due diligence, like, you do not pay attention to the accounts, because a good accountant can make those accounts sing whatever song they want. So we always go straight for the bank account, and we will go straight for the cash flow.
Yeah,
that's what pays the bills. A set of accounts doesn't pay the bills. So as much as that can go, you can make an set of accounts look really, really good. You can do the opposite quite easily through neglect. So yeah, don't anyone judging someone or anything on just a set of accounts. There's an error there, because you're judging it on one fact, not the combination of facts. And you also don't know what's happening across the rest of their businesses. Like, do they have partnerships and sole trader businesses in there that you don't know about, and you don't have visibility of and stuff. So yeah, the reason they came back up in the news this week was because of employee saying, we're really distressed by this, and one of the employees had gone to the news, and I sat there thinking, Christ, how could I, how would I feel if I'd put one of my team members into that position? That's not only are they now redundant, but they've also got all this pressure that they feel guilt for, because they were just following instructions. So yeah, I don't want to go into this topic in huge depth. We don't know the full history. We don't know the facts. We're just going from what we've seen on the media and LinkedIn and stuff, and they're contradictory of each other. So, but overall, like, if you're going to submit a set of accounts with your assets in a negative, then it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah, so I think this is another, because we keep getting asked why have we covered this topic, and yeah, the reason is because we don't feel like we have enough facts and figures to be able to contribute to anything. But when there is facts out there and there are issues out there that are just plain to see, I think it's more of a learning.
When there's a learning point,
yeah,
then we'll mention the learning point.
Exactly, and that learning point is obvious to say, please, 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 just give yourself a bit of time. Like, I know how easy it is just to leave it till the last moment because you're getting everyone else's accounts done, and that's the nature of it, right? And I'm sure I'm not alone that I would leave it till the last second because I've got other accounts to do and other accounts to file and everything else. But yeah, you've got to give yourself that time because we can't, like, if you're in a position like this, your credibility is just, it's going to be questioned, and that's and yes, it could be a perfectly good excuse for it, and there's perfectly good things, but it's the same as you can only tell that story to so many people and to get that message out to so many people. Fortunately, the overriding story that's going to be out there for everyone to see is going to be negative. Like Johann, you just said there, one of your most successful posts of this year has been being negative about a piece of software, which is great to like that you're passing that information out. But it's such a shame though that all of the good things that have happened in 2023, all of those amazing features we've had enabled, all those amazing solutions have been done because of the way that social media and humans themselves, exactly, that intrigue, that negativity has done so much more. And it's happened throughout time, hasn't it? You know, the newspapers and everything else and news articles, they know that negative news drives numbers. Like, that's what happens. So yeah, it is the way that it is. Right, we've got a couple of bits in there before we close for the day. Paul says it's common scenario with clients as well. QuickBooks offers them so many features, but don't apply to certain clients and never use back. That's one of the criticisms we mentioned to them directly. Like, they are aware, like, the whole communication needs to be improved in one way or another, and I'm sure they have some. Stay tuned for some ways in which they're going to improve on that. Aaron, classic reports and journals for your margin scheme has been an essential part of my business. I have so many car sales clients. Exactly, yeah. And that's the problem. It's a very niche area and a niche part of the accounting industry. But because of that heat map idea, maybe they could kill something based on the fact that it's not being used as much, where actually it's actually a critical part that we need to be more vocal about. LinkedIn user themselves says, ooh, I believe that's about the fact that the idea is about reported. So yeah, glad to see it's come through. Victoria Russell says, client engager is fantastic, and I'm always telling fellow professionals about it. Good to see.
She's not paid. We'll clarify this. No sponsorship has been given there.
But if you do it enough, you might get a bounty out of it. So I'm just saying, you've set a precedent now. That's all I'm saying. Natasha says, I'm proud of my sponsorship in my book from auto entry, and so you should be. I'm proud I do use the software. And yeah, exactly. Key example of how that should be. You've had great experience from auto entry. They've supported your growth. They've supported your business. And that's how that relationship should be, and that's exactly what should be, and that's what we're trying to say. Those sort of scenarios, they should be the ones that going forward, and again, we don't know how we're going to fix this, but in 2024, that's the sort of ones we should be promoting, right, and should be pushing. That's good stories, right? Jan, we have well, we're over time now, but what have you got coming up this week? Anything that anyone should be excited about?
Week in the office, nothing exciting. Just getting tax returns and stuff done, just finishing off, trying to get the team wound down, ready for Christmas. We've got one more episode of Ask the Accountant Monday morning live, and then Christmas break.
Yeah, but there's pre-recording though, so we're not missing out. We're not going to miss our schedule.
We will continue to deliver our weekly episode, but we're going to do pre-recorded Christmas specials.
If you don't mind, if that's okay with everyone. we have, we could go to our significant others and our family and say, look, is there any chance we can record on Christmas Day? We can do that if that's what the community wants, but you have to be there.
Yeah, you have to be there watching.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think anyone wants that, right? So if you don't mind, we're going to take 2 weeks of pre-recorded off. There'll still be stuff to listen to, probably on the Boxing Day. We'll probably let it go live, but then it'll go on. More importantly, it'll be there on our Wednesday for our podcast listeners. So there will be content for you to see. I believe one of them might be more visual, so maybe that would be an opportunity to jump on the YouTube channel or something to watch it. So yeah, stay tuned through that. Can't promise no singing on that one, Paul. Sorry about that. There's
well, no, we can, because we then end up with copyright issues unless we're creating our own Christmas song, which
I'm not good enough to hit any of those copyright issues, so it's fine. Yeah.
How close were you to the notes? Nowhere near.
I'll probably get copyright issue from a completely different song I was trying to sing, So it's all good. Right. My week is going to be in the office, but also I get a nice little trip down to or up to York, so I'm looking forward to that. Go see another practice, and is the Boffick's Christmas do on Friday, so that's got to be exciting, right? Yeah. We'll see what that entails. So yeah, we look forward to see you next Monday for Ask the Accountant, our last live Ask the Accountant of 2023. Thanks everyone for all the support this year, and we'll see you next year. We'll see you next week, then we'll see you next year. Yeah, we'll do that. Save that outro for next week.
Yeah, cut that out.
Producer Izzy, cut that out. All right, everyone, thank you so much. See you all soon, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
See you next week. Bye-bye.